We're live and yay, therapy truck.
Yay!
Welcome. That's fabulous.
That's exciting.
That's great. Oh, yay. Hi, Jenny. And this is so great. I'm delighted that we're just kind of seeing who's joining and I think we'll um go ahead and start chatting about the the topic that both Pam and I really wanted to talk about is the habit of questioning our worth. And a big part of why we decided to do that is because as we were prepping for this, we know that oh, Karen, yay, good. I was wanted to know your name. Um, Basically, that it seems to be really intrinsic to the creative process, where when you're doing something as brave as we do, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, making products, putting yourself out in the world, inevitably we all of our stories about our worth and that lovely companion doubt shows up all along the way. And so we wanted to just have a conversation about that and share some of our stories and our experiences. So Pam, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll do the same, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for hosting me. This is my first live, so it's pretty exciting, a little like nerve-wracking, but I'm excited to be here because this topic is super personal to me. I've been an artist my whole life. I'm a lifelong creative, multi-hyphenate creative. And the majority of my career has been decorative painting, which was murals and decorative finishes and furniture. But the last 10 years or so, I've been doing art licensing. So I create art and I have agents and they license it on products. So, like dishes and fabric and pillows and rugs, like literally anything that has a pattern on it. And you'd find it at places like Hobby Lobby or Home Goods, Walmart, anywhere like that. So that's what I do in my artistic part of my business, my, you know, um, visual art part of my business. And then I'm a writer and I write on Substack and I love Substack. I am just one of the die-hard Substack lovers. And I host a podcast and I wrote a book that just got shipped off to my publisher and I've started a second one. And so pretty much I know, I'm so excited. It's crazy. I can't
Can't
believe it,
wait.
but it just got literally got shipped off like a few days ago.
Oh,
So yeah, so I live a creative life. So pretty much like everything I do is based in creativity, creative expression, self knowledge through creative expression. So yeah, this
yeah.
is a topic definitely close to my heart.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. And same goes. So, my obviously since I'm hosting, but my Substack is Joyful Creating, and I am a multi hyphenate as well. Not quite as well, maybe actually. I won't like do the thing, but basically most of my career has been writing, whether that's been as a screenwriter, an interviewer, a magazine writer. Obviously, I've got 4 or 5, books out there working on not well, fiction books. Joyful Creating is my first nonfiction book, and I've almost completed the second book that goes with it, which is Joyful Making, and that's gonna be heading off to my beta readers this week, which is very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited for that to come out this year. And and then I'm already outlining a sequel to my book Blue Moon, which is urban fantasy, which is genuinely my favorite, uh, like novel with yeah, long form, genre. So and the yes, self-worth and doubt, and I tend to think of doubt as, like, my constant companion along this path, and that finding, that, cultivating that self-worth and also finding the trust in my own voice has been a huge part of what I have gained as a creative and what I really believe in and what I champion to other creatives. So I'm super thrilled that we have all these amazing people, including Jen, who's saying you're getting lots of congratulations on your book. So that is super
Yay.
exciting. Um, yeah, so let's dive in, and we've got some questions prepped, and basically, so what stage do you notice that doubt shows up? Is there a single stage, like before, during, after? Does it vary based on your project that sort of doubting your worth shows up?
Ah, I love this question. Okay, so I have always known that I am sort of a pioneer in the way that I create. So there are different types of ways that people create that I have found, throughout the years. I am a pioneer and I love the beginning of a project. So for
Mhm.
me, doubt does not come in at the beginning of a project. The beginning of a project, there is momentum and like possibility and very low risk, and it's exciting. And it's just this like seed that is going to grow. And it's like, I never feel doubt ever in the beginning of a project. And even like towards the middle, you kind of get into flow and it's like, it's all great. And then for me, it's about three-quarters of the way in when, like maybe the fatigue comes in a little bit or like the newness wears off. The reality of like stuff I'm going to have to do at the end of the
Mhm.
project, whether it's something where I'm going to have to do marketing or I'm going to have to do social media stuff or like do stuff that's out of my comfort zone or that I don't
Mhm.
really enjoy doing. All that stuff starts to like filter in a little bit. And I don't know about you, but I find for me, the self doubt and the questioning of the project or whatever really has more to do with me. So it
Mm.
really generally never has to do with where I don't think the project is good. It's more like my part of it. Like, am I going to do it wrong? Am I going to like, who's going to like it? And what is it going to mean anything? And it has more to do with like my own personal view of myself. So that's what I've learned through a lot of therapy and a lot of recovery and a lot of things to get to this stage of my life. I have learned that it's more about my feeling about myself,
Mhm.
and it generally isn't totally connected to the project.
Yeah. I could totally see that, and that's yes, totally. And what I have found interesting is if I'll dive in and,
Mhm,
pipe up with my answer, which is it really depends on if it's something brand new that I'm doing. So, for example, the first time that I ever covered a film festival as a, journalist, I was utterly terrified, and I have a wonderful partner who is a jump in and ask questions later kinda guy, and that is very helpful because he will usually be the one going, of course you can do this. You are so very capable. Like, go, do it. Like, because, and maybe, yeah. Anyway, there's so many reasons why that could be that he has more of that and I have less of it. Um, and once I've actually done something once, then I'm like, oh, I could do this. Like, I can totally, it doesn't take a lot for me to then feel like I'm very capable. And then, similar to you, I truck along. I'm very good at committing to something and showing up and doing the thing. And then usually it's like once I'm in the later drafts and I know I'm approaching um a new segment of the project. So like going from writing to actually prepping to publish and then starting to think about all the things that could happen. And like you said, that's usually like I usually have a great time when I'm writing it. And then it's when I start thinking about, oh shoot, it's about to go out into the world and it's going to get compared to other people, and are people going to find like all those crazy, the way that it shows up for me is 1,001 questions where it's just my mind just goes bonkers with all the ways that it could go wrong. It's like I think Seth Godin calls it catastrophizing the like it's just
Yeah,
like, oh
exactly.
God. So, and I have to kind of corral those
Mhm.
questions and toss them into action. Otherwise, they will derail the train for sure.
Yeah, I totally get
So,
that.
yeah, that's like so, I think I started to answer this, but what does second guessing look like in your
Mm.
process?
So, okay, so this is so easy for me because it's so big. It's procrastination. So, for me, when I feel uncomfortable about something or I am doubting my worth or I am, questioning the outcome of something, I will procrastinate. I will just not
Mhm.
work on it, because if you don't work on it, then you don't have to have that like whatever you envision that negative outlook to be. So procrastination is a big one for me. And that can happen, even though I love the beginning of a project, for me that can happen at the beginning. I have several clients that I work with for licensing on a regular basis, and I love what I do for them. Like it's my choice. It's my business. I love it. But sometimes I just put it off. Like I put off a specific collection or a project, and I'll put things in front of it, and then I have to really like stop for a moment and be like, okay, well, what's the real reason behind this? Like, am I having expectations that I think I'm not going to meet, or you know, there's usually something. If I really like look at it closely, there's usually something behind the procrastination. So that's a big one for me. And then the other way it can show up is like the project moving very slowly. So I think of it like sludge, which is such a gross word, but like I think of it like trudging through something. It's just not flowing, it's not effortless, it's not light, which is normally what my creative process
Yeah.
is, and I'll also get distracted easily. So I will look outside of myself for something. I don't know. I'll research a lot, or I'll, see what other people are doing, or I'll look at past jobs or something. So those are kind of how it shows up for me that I'm aware of. How does it
Yeah,
show up for you? What does it
I
look like
love
for
that.
you?
I was gonna say, I'm gonna jump off your distraction
Mm,
because I was like, distraction for sure. Like, and I almost feel like that overthinking, like if I'm questioning my worth, it's like it starts going and hunting for evidence. So it
mm,
will like go look at
yeah,
other people's, like follower count or what they've published or how many, like it's crazy how
mm.
like that questioning my worth will hunt for evidence basically.
I
And I
love that term. That is such a
right?
great term. Yes.
It
Oh
will,
my
like,
god.
goes like, it and it works pretty
Yeah.
damn hard at it until, like, basically have to, and we'll talk about that where it's like, where I have to just tell it to stop and that
Mm,
this is not helpful and it's going to, like, completely halt what it is. And I almost wonder if that happens too when I get scared and I know, like, on some level, I know that what I'm doing is really good or really like, is kinda churning something up in me that's kind of confronting a pattern, and I find that's what the creative process does for me. It really
mm,
confronts the ways that I've held myself back or listened too much to fear, and um, so yeah, I have to kinda, you know, give it a talking to and and like you said, I have to get back into it, honestly,
mm.
um and the other thing that it will do is suddenly yes, I do find myself it's like, "Oh, I think I need to completely change this part of the project, or maybe I need to change the setting where I'm actually gonna sit." Like it will come up with some crazy idea to like almost start again. And luckily I catch this one pretty quickly where I'm like, I don't think this is actually a good use of our time. I think you're trying to like sideline what we're doing here by
Yeah.
suggesting something super dramatic. Like that's um often not what needs to happen at all.
Definitely not. That's definitely a flag.
Right?
Mhm.
It's like, oh,
I
you need to completely
I
redo
know.
this. It's like, hold on. Do I?
And I love your connection to the emotional part of it. Like, I didn't I totally identify with that, and I think that's universal, and I didn't even think about that, like, when it's churning something up in you. Like, a lot of what we do, like, my art for licensing isn't I personally maybe for some people, it's very, like, exposing or, like, makes you vulnerable. I don't feel that way. Like, my art that I do for that is I don't feel emotionally connected to it. But writing and, which is like one of your biggest creative outlets, like that's a whole other thing as far as being connected to your soul and your like bearing your, even if you're not writing about yourself, like it's still I'm finding that it's very like it's very intimate. And so like I think you
Yeah.
pointing that out is that's really powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's and Karen was saying that she can see that too, like recognizing the red flags. And I think the more that we do what we do, the faster you can catch those flags where you're like, "I've been here before.
Mhm.
I know this."
Exactly.
So, like, that's yeah, so I appreciate that because it is a very what we do as creatives inevitably really involves our emotions and involves,
Mhm.
like, so much of our experience, and, I seem to, probably like a lot of writers, I seem to have, like, you know, a direct line to finding what it is that's gonna shake me up the most because I need to write that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's like, "Great. Awesome." So,
And you
yeah.
chose it.
Yeah, right? Like, that's yes. So, I love this question because there's 2
Mhm.
parts to it. Where has this habit held you back, and where has it
Mhm.
made you stronger?
So this was interesting for me because, it was hard for me to pinpoint it. Like, I really had to think about it and really, like, kinda get honest with myself, and I feel like where it's held me back is I find less enjoyment in the process. So, I feel like that's the negative side of it is that it kind of zaps my being being present, you know? It takes me out of the moment, and I think for me, creative expression is it's such a direct connection for me to be present and to be in the moment. And so when these voices come in, I find that number 1, I'm not enjoying the process because I'm, like, thinking about other things, you know? And then number 2, I'm not present. I'm just taken right out of it. And I still have to like, because it's my business, I still have to work on this stuff,
Mhm,
but I'm not enjoying it and I'm not present for the joyful ride, you know? So I think that would be, like, the negative for me. And then where it's made me stronger and, I think, you know, like what you talked about a little bit ago, it's about learning about myself. So it's noticing patterns, that don't just apply to creative expression. I mean, they're in life, you know? It's like I don't just have these, like, negative thoughts about my creative output, you know? It's like, it could be, you know, for a podcast, is this too dressy? Should I not wear jewelry? Should I, whatever. It doesn't even matter what it is. It's just it can come out anywhere. So I think, like, self-compassion, it's given me more self-compassion.
mhm.
Um, it's given me a kinship to other people like you and other people that, like, feel this. It's universal. It's like I'm not the only one thinking these thoughts, on a regular basis. And I think the last thing is it gives me sort of a sense of control over my life. So, like, I have control over these thoughts. Like, I can think them. Like, it's my mom used to always say, "You can think murder," and like, it's like,
Oh, we writers know all about that.
yes, exactly. So I feel like I think the thoughts are gonna come. I don't think we can stop the thoughts, but we have a choice on, like, how we respond to them.
Oh, that's good. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, that's oh my gosh. And especially because I find, and I would bet that everybody listening can relate to this, which is like, I think, especially as a storyteller and a writer, I have a quick mind and I have a mind that loves to draw correlations or patterns or whatever, which sometimes they're there and sometimes they just really aren't. Like sometimes it's just creating drama where it doesn't need to be. And so I suppose for my answer, it's like I think where it has held me back is when I have really questioned way too long. And I think it comes with having a curious mind, but at the same time, and maybe it's because I'm also the youngest. I don't know. There's probably a thousand reasons, but ultimately, where it has held me back is, like, not daring sooner and not daring to not give a crap what people think, and, that's one of the things that I do really appreciate about Substack. There's so many things I appreciate about Substack, but, like, it is so helpful to have, like, literally millions of other creatives on this platform showing us how they do and being really, vulnerable about it, and so where I feel like it has made me stronger is I have questioned a lot of stories that I got raised with. I've questioned a lot of cultural beliefs, which clearly I do a lot of that in joyful creating. Like it became the fodder for that book and also for Joyful Making because I'm like, "Wait a minute, like, why does it" even the fact that sometimes it looked easier for whether it was or not, that's, like, totally my assumption. But if it looked easier for somebody else or that they got to it sooner, I would question, "Okay, so why? And is that true?" And so I feel like it really got me to start asking the questions about, like, what's in the way of my
Mhm,
worth, and how do I just not care about that as much? And how do I find the people who will back me up in not
yep,
caring or who are being as kooky and daring as I am, and then finding that, like, loving that, feeling very supported by that, and, um, yeah, so I felt like the more and I feel like the stronger I got in owning my worth, the
mhm,
more that those were the people I chose to be around, and if there were, people in my life who were just way too critical or derogatory or whatever, like, or just were fueling the doubt rather than my worth, then that was it. I didn't need them around. So,
good lesson, it's a good lesson in all areas, yeah.
yeah, right? Like, so is there a practice that helps you when doubt shows up, when you start questioning your worth?
Yeah, there is actually. So the first, like we've been talking about, is just the awareness. It's just paying attention to the flags. It's paying attention to the small, habits that we do that we know are not serving us, and they're for some other purpose. There's a term in therapy that they use a lot, which is name it to tame it.
Mm,
And I think that, like, noticing it and then naming it, like, takes the power away, for me. And, the other thing that I do other than, like, being aware or choosing to be aware, um, is I keep moving. So it might be, like, a tiny, tiny step, but I don't know, I don't let it stop me. Like, it still might not feel good, and it might be harder, and it might, like, move super slowly, but I just keep the forward momentum going, you know? And there's some tricks that I use for that, like, sometimes, um, if it's writing, I might set a time limit, and I'm gonna
mhm,
just write for this short period of time. I always wanna write longer, it's just the getting started, you know what I mean? Or, like,
mhm,
if it's a project, I might take out one tiny step that I can do in that project. It might be, like, just picking a color palette, and then I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. So for me, it's like forward movement and realizing it's happening.
mm.
What do you
Love that.
do? Like,
Well, I have a couple of things. So one, if I add on to that, because awareness is huge. So I do find in the spirit of that, it helps me to have um, basically practices that help me to catch things, like to have a little
mhm,
bit of distance between what's going on in my head and what reality might be. So things like meditation or going for walks, basically reflective practices, I
mhm,
find will often make it pretty obvious to me that, like, oh, okay, something else is going on here. Let's explore that, and we don't have to listen to it. We can give it some air so that it airs out, and
mhm.
essentially I'm like, "Okay, I see you, that's awesome," kinda like Elizabeth Gilbert talks about
Yes.
putting, fear in the back seat kinda
Mhm,
thing. Um, and then the other thing that I do find really helpful is having, accountability buddies or what I call creative companions. So, having people like we're doing right now where who you can
mhm,
have both these kind of conversations, and so you can dispel, like, any notion that's kind of not true about you. Like, those I find those are the kind of people who will reflect to you how capable you are, that
mhm.
you're doing great, you're actually, like, getting the thing done, holy moly. Like, I know I have a whole story that I take forever to make things, and then I have a friend who's like, "You make so much in 1 year. Like, I can't even imagine
Right.
doing as much as you do." So the stories that we tell
Mhm,
ourselves, if I have really great people around, who either contribute to my momentum, so they're either, like, doing accountability with me, or they really help or they help dispel whatever fiction I'm writing about my process
Mhm.
is really helpful.
'Cause we're so much harder on ourselves, like, sometimes when you think about like, I think about, it's like my book. So I'm someone who, like, finishes a project and goes right on to the next one. Like, I don't integrate it. I don't take that time. But if somebody else, like, when you tell me your book's coming out, I'm like, that's amazing. Like, it's the coolest thing ever, but I don't do that to myself. So I think
Yeah.
having that, like, reflection, I think is so important. And I wanted to just on that, I wanted to tell you one thing that because it totally ties in with that. So a few days ago, I did a note on Substack that a lot of people commented on. It was I said, name something that feels like therapy that's not therapy. And amazing responses. Really cool. But one of them I wrote it down. It was from Lindsay. She shared that for her, she does a vision board. That's like her non-therapy therapy.
Yeah.
And when I looked, and she posted a picture of one of her boards. And when I looked at it, the first thing I saw was a little clipping that said, "We rarely talk about the doubts, the flaws, the setbacks. That's where real progress happens. And I think we should be more honest about that." Now, this was just, I'm getting chills. This was yesterday afternoon that was put in front of me,
Oh my
So,
gosh.
and you just said it. You just said we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like,
It's so cool.
I love it. Oh my gosh. And I wonder if that can like, we have another question where it's like,
Mm.
what are you sure about in your work that doubt tries to talk you out of? Which is, like, another great reason to have this conversation where it's like, we are gonna out doubt. Like, let's just
I
let's
know.
just
Oh my god.
let's just share. Okay, doubt. We're putting you on
Yeah,
the hot seat.
I know. And it's funny because it can be for something that you feel confident about. It doesn't mean it's not always about something that you lack confidence in. So for me, it is definitely so I believe in the value of my creative experiences. So I believe that I have valuable creative experiences that I can share with other people and maybe inspire them or maybe entertain them or maybe whatever, they hear something they need to hear. That is like doubt does not want me to have that good feeling. You know what I mean? It is just
Yeah.
the biggest thing, and I see it with everything. I see it, and again, more so directed at me as a person as opposed to the work. Like the book that I just sent off, I'm really proud of that, and it's really, like, close to my heart, and I'm sharing experience that I've had over, like, I've been a professional artist almost 40 years, and yeah, doubt was like, "Who's gonna care about this? Like, why is this important? And why, like, you're just one person. Like, why does this matter?" Like, all those thoughts. So I think for me, one of the things that's tied closest to my, like, being or my purpose as a just like a member of society
Mhm.
is sharing my creative expression, and that's
Mhm.
the biggest thing that doubt wants to take down.
That's like, oh my gosh, I relate to that so much. And yeah, that's I mean, and the funny thing is, like, for me, it's um I know every time that I actually do show up and create, I know how much it lights me up and how much I get from it and how it's so intrinsic to my happiness, which is why my Substack is called Joyful Creating. Um, and it's amazing how often doubt tries to convince me out of ever doing it. Like,
Mhm,
of, like, even, that any of it matters or why bother or, like, who's gonna care what you have to say, like, all those kind of self-worth we're calling it doubt, but they really are, like, self-worth
mhm,
questions, and I think, this is where I also love how we show up for each other on Substack and how we show up for each other in this conversation where it's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't imagine," like, I can't imagine if we hadn't met. and
Mm.
if we weren't cheering each other on. And like you said, like, I'm so excited when I hear that a creator that I love is coming out with something and that they get to feel that accomplishment, you know? And it's hilarious. It's hilarious to me that doubt tries to convince me out of accomplishments that have just are truly like when people ask you about, okay, what are some of your greatest joys that you've experienced in life? And like, I mean, there's tons of people that I would mention. And if there are so many experiences that for me are related to creating, like
Mhm.
it has really been um, such a huge part in like how I make choices and what I do, and a huge fuel to like just being happy to be alive, really. So yeah,
Absolutely.
um and so what has evolved in your conversations with doubt from when you started to today? What's shifted?
Well, obviously awareness. Definitely, like, self-knowledge of, like, my patterns, that it took a lot of work, and it's still, like, obviously a work in progress, but definitely awareness and self-knowledge. Also, a little bit of desensitization
Mm.
to the doubt, to the voice or the voices. It's like exposure therapy, it's like, you hear it a lot and you're like, "Wait a minute, like, I've heard that, that you were there before, but you don't serve me," or whatever. So I think a little, of that, like, not as sensitive to it. And then, I think the last thing would be, and this is something, I touched on earlier, and I am definitely working on, and it is compassion for myself and
Mm.
being compassionate to myself and, like, as caring to myself as I would be to somebody else. And, um, so I think those are the things for me that really have changed. And I think, age comes along with that too, and,
Yeah.
like, experience and, like, the stage that I'm at. So I think, yeah, those are my big ones.
Yeah, I love that. That's like, yeah, I feel like I've gotten more courageous. I feel like I jump
Mm.
in faster, which I'm very pleased with. Um, I feel like I give it less airtime. So I might notice the doubts, and hopefully, I mean, it depends on if I'm in a stage where I'm also kind of tired or the world is being extra crazy, which these days, you gotta
Mhm.
have to, speaking of things you have to tune out in order to keep going. Um, but like, I think I'm just more daring in what I'll try, which I think too comes with age and with surrounding yourself with other daring creatives. And what I do feel like, compared to how I started, I feel like I give a lot more credence to the excitement than the
Mm.
doubt. So, like, when something shows up and I'm like, "Oh, that would be fun," and even if there's a great big, caboose of doubt that's dragging along behind it, I'm just like, "Yeah, but it looks like it's gonna be way more fun than you think it's gonna, cause trouble." So, I'd rather pay attention to the excitement
Yep.
than, you know, the doubt downer in my, in my caboose. But, yeah, so I have also noticed that, like, if life is being particularly challenging in all of its different areas, which we all go through seasons like that,
Mhm.
um, sometimes I have definitely noticed, and the awareness piece is real, where it's like I notice that doubt gets louder if
Mhm.
if there's a lot getting shaken up in my life at the same time. And so I think that's where compassion has come in for me, because it can be so easy as creatives. I'll just speak for myself. It can be so easy to be hard on myself. That seems
Mhm.
to come along with being a daring creative. And I've learned to have some compassion when if I can actually see, okay, there's several different areas of my life that are getting really shaken up right now. And so, of course, there's a lot of feelings happening, and doubt will be right there in the middle of it, trying to, you know, stir up trouble. So, but, and sometimes that's okay. Like, I listen to just pause
Mhm.
and recognize if I need to take a breath and acknowledge myself and just, you know, bring a little kindness to the table. And then usually it kind of settles down. So
Kindness is such a big part of it being kind to ourselves, you know? Just we can be really,
Yes.
really hard on ourselves.
Right? That's like I
Mm,
see, this is where these conversations are so
mhm,
important, where it's like,
mhm.
I'm not the only person on the planet who decides to like it's
Definitely not.
clearly yeah, clearly comes with being creative. So,
Yeah.
so tell us, like, I know we've been chatting for about 35 minutes, so if there's
Mhm.
anything like that you wanna wrap up with, and also tell us, like, about what's coming up for you.
Oh, absolutely. So, like, one other thing that came up to me while you were talking was that phrase, like, "Feel the fear and do it anyway."
Mhm,
And, I love that you said that you jump into things quicker because that's what I'm trying to do. It's like that say yes and then figure it out later. And so, you know, I think that that's a really good takeaway. I don't think the fear is gonna go away. I don't think the voices are gonna go away, but you can still move forward, you know,
mhm,
and still do what you wanna do. As for me, like I said, my book just, was sent off to the publisher, so I don't have dates or anything, but if you follow me on Substack, I'm sure I'll be sharing about it. I would love for people to join me on I have 2 Substacks. I have You Are Creative, which is, like, sort of an umbrella of, like, creative expression and, like, that as a path to self-knowledge,
mhm.
and I write on there, and I also host a podcast on there called Building a Creative Life that comes out every week where I talk to all kinds of creatives where, you know, you and I connected, and, I love it. It's a passion. And then I have, Travel Like an Artist, which I talk about, like, noticing and how to notice when you travel and have it not be so much about where you're going, but about what you see. And,
Mhm.
yeah, and I love meeting people and talking about creativity and hearing about creativity and supporting people, so I'm always open to, like, messages and comments and love connecting and grateful for Substack and all the creatives here and all the connections I've made.
Yeah, I agree. That's like and if anybody wants to chime in for with a question, please do, but
Mm, absolutely.
um, yeah, that's I too, I wanted to say that since we were talking about worth, and I think the more that you do what really matters to you, I have definitely noticed that my sense of self-worth and my sense of finding my self-worth in what I care about and what matters to me is way more important to me than trying to find it outside, like trying to look for other people's approval for that self-worth, and that's been very, very liberating. I will definitely say that, I don't think the questioning goes away, I don't think it ever will, but I would say that I have a lot more belief in my worth, and the more that I follow what really matters to me, and the more that I hang out with people that support that and believe in that as well, um, the stronger my self-worth gets, and the easier it is to tell the questions to pipe down a little bit. So so yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, and my Substack is Joyful Creating. I would love to have people, join me there. I do have a post showing up today about creative companions, so check that out. It's my new name for accountability buddies because I got a little tired of I don't know, that phrase just didn't work for me, even though I love the idea of it, and that's what's in there. It's just a new way of expressing it, and, my book, Joyful Creating, obviously, is, like, out
So
there,
pretty.
and Joyful Making will come out this year, so and thank you. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. I'm super excited and also starting to outline the sequel to my book, Blue Moon, so it's kinda fun to already have the thing, kicking in that is going to replace once Joyful Making is off to the beta readers. So, yeah, so this has been amazing. Thank you so much for this
Thank
conversation.
you.
It's
Thank you
yeah,
for holding space for this too. I think it's important to talk about these topics.
yeah, I completely agree. I think the more we can be honest about it, the more we empower each other to do our
Definitely.
bravest work. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you everybody for
Thank
showing
you
up.
for showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see you all on Substack. I'm looking forward to checking you all out and having more of these conversations. So, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.